In 2021, a word called involution or 内卷 became extremely popular. Suddenly, everyone was talking about it everywhere. At first, I was mystified about its meaning until I noticed some interesting phenomena. All my classmates were scrambling and fighting to get into a good senior high. Some went to bed at 11, some at 12, some at 1 o'clock a.m. Some took 3 after-school tutoring classes. Some took 5. Some took 7. But the fact is, no matter how hard everyone worked, the 55% admission rate stays the same. So, was all this hard work important or simply wasted? Well, a saying goes like this. When one person works hard, he or she raises his or her score. But when a group of people work hard together, they raise the admission line. Everyone got better at solving test problems, but the admission rate stays the same. It's not like in fairy tales, where hard work 100% leads to happy endings. Studying at a good senior high is a prerequisite to securing a spot in a good university. Studying at a good junior high is then a must in order to get into a good senior high. Which is why most of my friends started dashing forward with all their might when they were only in 3rd grade. Just imagine, 3rd grade. I was still covered in mud and sand while my friends were already drenched in knowledge and tests. I remember when I bought my first math workbook to supplement my learning in 8th grade, I heard smart kids in my class say, "Hey, I finished that when I was in 5th grade." Now that's the bibbidi-bobbidi-boo of exceeding others, studying in advance. And when advances of 1 year isn't enough to be a head start, people will start advances of 2 years, 3 years, or many, many years. And when everyone begins to study in advance, you will realize that your head starts are lost. Everyone will be forced to join the involution and can no longer stop themselves. It's like those times when you see a hamster running a wheel. Hamster runs fast, wheel goes fast. Hamster runs faster, wheel goes faster. Hamster runs even faster to prevent itself from being thrown off the wheel. This is involution. Unlike evolution, which means beneficial competition that encourages progress, involution is harmful competition that results in stagnation. It can be considered as evolving inwards, and it is a form of low-level complexity. To explain it with economics, involution is increasing factors of input, but not receiving increased outputs, while increasing opportunity costs instead. Everyone should have had more time to enrich their lives and study more diverse and pleasurable things. Involution is like a huge gamble, where you throw in all your time as bargaining chips, and if you don't receive the admission ticket to your ideal school, then all is lost. As if it's either joining a good senior high or becoming a total loser. There are only 2 sides. You can either win or you can lose. And this seems to be proven by facts. Because of focusing too much on education dedicated only to exam preparation and lacking the accumulation of other skills or cognitive development, students will realize that they don't have enough ability as soon as they enter the society. Involution doesn't just harm the individual himself or herself. It harms the overall environment and ecosystem. For the hamster we mentioned before, involution is painful. The hamster loses itself while it battles with Newton every day in wheel running. And it received 2 shiny red blisters. For humans, involution is even more painful because the human environment is more complicated and vicious than just a simple wooden wheel. Because of the fierce competition, All my classmates viewed each other as their strong enemies. Workbooks and notebooks were viewed as treasures that are way too valuable for the competitors to sneak a peek at. I remember once I wanted to borrow some of their workbooks because they had some really cool questions. And I will receive these "how dare you" looks from them as they gently tucked their workbooks into their drawers while politely refusing my proposal at the same time. The way everyone guarded their knowledge from one another was quite funny because it reminded me of how a mother lion would dedicate her life into protecting her cubs, shown in BBC documents. But it was also a bit sad, actually, because the fierce competition killed almost all friendships. Building trust was nearly impossible because everyone was constantly hiding stuff from one another. In my opinion, this is something much sadder than receiving a low score in exams. I come from an ordinary family with ordinary conditions, and my junior high was ordinary. In fact, it was so ordinary that people haven't heard of its name when I talk about it. If I had joined the army of involution, it is likely that I would not have succeeded. I don't have good genetics. There isn't even a top student in my whole family. And my school doesn't have great average scores or good admission rates. Which is why I am extremely thankful to my parents for just teaching me the importance of being myself and finding a future that suits me the best. They never pressured me into entering any top schools and told me that as long as I stick to being myself, time will give me the best answer. After I graduated from junior high, I got a chance to successfully apply for the scholarship in my senior high now. Some people say that international high schools are meant for rich people only. Other people say that international high schools are prepared for students who are just too bad to enter a proper public senior high. I don't agree with these opinions. I see so much diversity here. All my classmates seem to have extraordinary talents that I've never seen before. Here we have athletes, musicians, actors, singers, fashion designers, and so much more. Don't get me wrong though. I didn't say international high schools are the best choice for everyone. If here you view the different evaluations as rulers that compare other people to you and that you exceed others, then evolution would happen here too. Thus, why would evolution happen? We can notice that it's because we view life as a single track where everyone runs on the single runway and share the same goal, which is to exceed others. As if as soon as we outrun one player, we will get rewarded with something better. And as soon as we fall behind, we will fail, and our life will become dark and gloomy. No one wants to bear the insecurity of falling behind. But the truth is, running on this single track makes it simply impossible for everyone to all achieve first place. How exactly can we avoid involution? First, refresh your stereotype on how life is a single runway. Life is more than just one runway. Instead, it has mountains and valleys, prairies and forests, and so many more routes you can choose from. Plus, the speed that our world changes today is remarkable. No one knows what the world will be like 10 years from now. So the success that you want doesn't lie in involution. It lies in innovation. Next, explore your life and redefine human abilities. Find what you're truly interested and passionate about. Think about what type of study and what kind of education suits you the best. True customized teaching is all about self-studying and not about being fed on knowledge by other people. In the 21st century, with the advent of all sorts of technologies, resources are far more available than before. You don't have to worry about your location or your environment. As long as you're willing to explore, opportunities will be presented to you. And finally, become yourself. Thank you.